Peace everyone, Unmasked here, and welcome back to the Drawing Journal. So this one's going to be a little bit different because this is going to be a response video to J Showtime's video on his thoughts on veganism as from the perspective of a meat eater. So I pre-recorded me drawing so that you still get the art side of this, and I get to have somewhat of a conversation with another YouTuber because I watched his video and I liked it and I wanted to address some of his questions. So I thought it'd just be kind of fun to do. So that's what I'm going to do today. Also, I wanted to mention that I finished drawing this picture here. The time lapse is up, so you can check that out. A lot of people really liked it. So yeah, getting that stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and get into his video.
Hey, what up everybody, it's J Showtime, and before I even really get into this video, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. If you are the type of individual who looks at a title of a video before actually listening to the full content of the video to make your decision that you automatically dislike, then this video is not for you.
Don't worry, J Showtime, that's not me. So I actually liked your video a lot, which is why I chose to respond to it.
Now getting into the subject of the video, I've seen as of recent, and I guess it's because a certain individual whose name will remain nameless decided to say something to the vegan community, or it was a subliminal shot, but whatever the case may be.
Actually, I'm not sure who you're talking about, but you don't seem to want to let anybody know, so that's cool.
Now, I'm really starting to see the vegan community on YouTube grow. Like, there are channels that are specifically directed towards or concentrating upon the concept of veganism and displaying the lifestyle of veganism and the pros of it to their audience.
Yeah, I also see that a lot on YouTube, which is surprising and hopeful in many ways. But yeah, I've just become aware of it, which is kind of funny considering I've been vegan. Just quick background: I've been vegan for about 7 years or so, and I've been on YouTube almost 3 years. So this fall will be 3 years for me. And I'm just coming across like the rise of the vegan community on YouTube. So
now the next few things that I'm about to say doesn't necessarily reflect the things that I've seen from the vegan community on YouTube per se, but just people who claim to live the vegan lifestyle, period.
So you're referring more to like individual vegans, not like the group in general.
Whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and in real life where counts the most. And when I say what I'm about to say, I know this does not apply to everybody who is of the vegan movement, right? I understand that when it comes to movements, we have radicals of these movements that give everybody of that movement a bad name, or closed-minded people look at these few people who are a part of this movement and they decide to judge the whole group or the whole movement based upon a few people who do things like this.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you're spot on right there. There's always going to be crazies in whatever group, and unfortunately those are the ones that normally get most of the attention because they're so controversial or strange. That's good to set that tone, and I agree that it's helpful to avoid generalizations with any group of people.
But to get a few things straight right off the bat, I don't really want to come off as I'm coming from a place of I know everything there is to know about veganism, because I don't.
I think that you portray this quite genuine in your video, which is why I like your video so much, because you seem completely genuine and you have a real open mind to learning and wanting to actually understand. So it's another reason that I just felt compelled to make a short video response to this.
I'm coming more of a place of really wanting to understand more about the vegan culture, to understand what this is. And I'm just sharing with you my thoughts upon the vegan culture, and really coming from a place of wanting to know more. So if anybody who's watching this video is a vegan practitioner, please enlighten me on certain subjects that I touch in this video and post it in the comment section below so we can all learn from this.
I felt like there was a lot to respond to, which is why I'm doing a video as opposed to typing a book in the comments section.
So with all that being said, I feel as though this whole veganism movement has a very religious connotation to it, and that's just how I personally feel.
Well, just to pause right there, yeah, I think in some cases that it does, but to just explain that, I would say that diet in general has a lot of religious connotation because if you look at some of the major religions, diet is in their holy books. You know, you look at Christianity, you have the Old Testament where it tells you not to eat pork and shellfish. Same thing with Jewish religion; they have eating kosher and things like that. You have Hindus that don't eat beef. You have Muslims that also don't eat pork. So diet has always kind of had a place in religion, and I can see how religion might lead you to a vegan diet, especially Seven-Day Adventist Christianity. I don't think it's necessarily that the choice of being a vegan evolves into a religion, but more the other way around, that religion tends to kind of bring about specific diets. So for me personally, vegan is absolutely no religion whatsoever. Yeah, absolutely no religious aspect to it as far as I go.
As somebody who's not really a part of that movement, I'm starting to feel like it has a religious connotation to it. And the reason as to why I feel as such is because on YouTube and outside of YouTube, I see a lot of people who are practitioners of this vegan lifestyle or the vegan movement. And what they do is they criticize other people for eating what they eat, and they're calling them certain names, they're calling them heathens and all of this kind of stuff. And trust me, I'm well aware that people who do participate in eating meat, they criticize vegans and call them hippies and call them weirdos and all of this kind of stuff. I realize that there is a war. Well, I won't say a war, but I'm well aware that there are words being thrown back and forth over the fence between these two communities. But look, my whole thing is this: do we really have to go to war with and call people all the most nastiest things that you could possibly think of just because they don't eat the same thing as you? Like, when you really put this in perspective, is it really that serious?
Well, I think the obvious answer to this is no. But anytime you're dealing with any group of people, or individuals for that matter, people are going to throw mud at each other. And it doesn't seem to go away as you get older. I don't. As a vegan, like, I don't hate on people that eat things that I don't agree with. Um, I don't particularly like that aspect of the vegan community, as far as some vegans that lash out at people and berate them because they eat meat. I don't think that it is the most wise decision to eat meat, because I think that a whole food, plant-based vegan diet is the healthiest diet that you can have. Yeah, I would say the simple answer to that is no. We don't have to go to war. People don't have to call each other names, but you get it from both sides. You really do.
And believe you me, I am not talking out of my behind when I say this, because I've literally witnessed this on YouTube in the comment sections and in real life.
I think we've all witnessed a lot of interesting things in the YouTube comment section. So as far as that goes, I
Hearing other people having dialogue, I've actually heard people who have lived the vegan lifestyle call other people heathens and say that they're sinning and all of this kind of stuff. So like I said before in the video, I'm coming from a place of wanting to know more about this. Do all vegans believe that if you are a meat eater that you are sinning, that it is a heathen type of activity?
no, not all vegans. Remember, at the beginning of your video, you wanted to avoid the generalizations. So your question is, do all vegans think that you're sinning if you eat meat? Again, the obvious answer to that is no. I've been vegan for a long time. I've never once considered a sin. I don't think sin exists. So yeah, the answer to that is no. The short answer to that is no.
But my response to this whole heathen type of thing that people,
Now, regarding heathen, that's a little bit different than sin. And again, I don't think that the behavior of eating meat can be equated with being heathen, because in certain circumstances, people survive by eating meat. And I wouldn't hold that against them. It's survival. So again, not heathen activity by any means. And there might be plenty of vegans that disagree with everything that I'm saying in this video because we all have kind of our own opinions and beliefs regarding what the vegan lifestyle should be about.
Will say is, if you look at nature and you look at the animals of nature, you see that you have the birds who swoop down into the rivers and eat the fish, and then you have the lions who chase the gazelles and eat them and have them for dinner or whatnot. You see that in the animal kingdom, and contrary to many people's beliefs, we are a part of the animal kingdom. Let's not forget that. Before we had to pay to live, and before society really grew the way it is, and that there are all these buildings and whatnot, we were once amongst animals. And if anybody who studies nature and studies environments and habitats and whatnot, you will understand that there is a food chain, right?
So far, I agree with everything that you've said. Food chain, humans are also among the animal kingdom. Totally agree. Everything here is fine. It's what you say after this that I'll address.
And when you look at the food chain, you see that man is at the top of this whole animal kingdom hierarchy.
I think that it's somewhat of a misconception to think that man is at the top of the food chain, because without weapons, you go to the Sahara Desert, you don't really stand a chance against some of the animals that live there. Technology allows us to kind of artificially be at the top, but in reality, humans aren't going to chase down a lion for food. So the food chain idea that we're at the top is it's a little shaky. It's a little shaky. I'm going to have to disagree with the idea that man's at the top of the food chain, because I can pretty much guarantee you it's going to be the lion chasing down the man.
And since we are a part of the animal kingdom, and the lower class of animals, they engage in activities of eating one another. And what I mean by eating one another, I don't mean necessarily of each kind, but as I mentioned before, you have the lions chasing the gazelles and that's their dinner. And then you have the birds swooping down into the river to eat the fish. That means that these animals were programmed innately knowing by their creator to eat one another in order to survive, and the survival of the fittest and how everything works, because it works in a balance type of thing. So if these animals did not play their role in nature and eat one another, then the whole food chain would be out of whack, and then you would have more caterpillars than such and such, and you would have more this than that, and there would just be...
Okay, so there's a lot here, so I'm going to try to break it down. Okay, so first off, I don't think that animals were created the way that they are. I think they evolved the way that they are. So their food chain has been evolving for millions of years. And I think most biologists would probably agree with that statement. Animals, I would say that animals have evolved for their diet. And that is based on their desire to survive, which is kind of encoded in their being. Encoded in our own being, to eat, to survive. If these animals didn't eat one another, then it would throw everything out of whack. And I think there's this kind of a false balance idea that you might have, where nature is like this, in this perfect equilibrium, and if anything happens, then everything's going to go crazy and caterpillars are going to take over the world. I can assure you, if humans stopped eating meat, caterpillars probably wouldn't be the next creature to dominate the earth. So there being like some kind of arbitrary harmony, I don't think that's a realistic perspective of nature. I think nature is always unbalanced, but it's always fighting for equilibrium, and it's always swaying from one side to the other. So I don't think that changing the human diet would drastically unbalance nature. I think that nature is much stronger than the human diet.
An imbalance, and there would be a whole lot of disharmony. So as I said before, from a nature, food chain, survival of the fittest type of mentality or perspective and lens, I believe as though humans are justified in eating some type of meat.
I can't say that there's justification in eating meat versus not eating meat. I think that eating is for survival, and I think that humans perhaps survived in many locations based on their eating habits, whether that included meat or not. As far as justifying eating meat because it might throw nature out of balance, I don't. You lost me with that argument because, again, nature doesn't have this magical, special balance quality. It's always fluctuating. So I don't think that's a valid justification for eating meat.
But I really believe this boils down to your reason for killing and eating the animals and the way that you go about killing the animal. As we've seen in slaughterhouses and different corporations and whatnot, there is a whole lot of torturing of animals going on. The animals are put in very inhumane type of environments and they're being tortured until they're finally killed. And a lot of people are really starting to wake up and agree that what these animals undergo is very unhealthy. So if they're in very unhealthy environments and they're killed and they're packaged up and they're given to you in the market and then you eat this, then what is that doing to you?
Factory farming is a huge topic and there's a lot wrong with it. And I don't think there's very many people that would disagree there's a lot wrong with it, whether they eat meat or not. Watching some of the videos that have surfaced, I don't think they'll disagree with the idea that factory farming is a really messed up industry. But you're kind of going against your point that you made previously about justifying eating meat because factory farming is just a reason not to eat meat.
There are some meats like pork, for instance, that really isn't good for you. Whatever the pig eats is practically what you eat. And we know that pigs live in a very unsanitary environment. So everything that the pig has eaten is practically what you're going to be eating.
Real quick on pork, yeah, I find it amazing that anybody in America would eat pork, or any developed country that has any connection to the internet. I mean, it's a disgusting animal. Pigs are adorable. I'm not gonna lie, they're adorable when they're like small and stuff. But as far as a food source, they're a terrible food source. I mean, they're just riddled with disease and bacteria, and it all is stored inside their stomach, and then people chop that up and make bacon out of it. Yeah, to me, it's completely just disgusting. Before I was vegan, I didn't eat pork because it is just a terrible source of food.
But as far as my diet is concerned, the only three types of meat that I eat is fish, chicken, and turkey. Those are the only three meats that I allow myself to eat. Because for some reason, when I eat other type of meats, like I said, pork and anything heavier than that, I feel very sluggish. I don't feel like I'm at my top peak. My thoughts aren't as focused. I feel as though my ability to concentrate on subjects, it dwindles down. In a long drawn out way, all in all, I'm just practically saying that I feel as though it slows me down. When I've incorporated a lot more fruits and vegetables and I've been drinking a whole lot more water into my diet, I feel as though my thoughts are a lot more sharper. I can concentrate a whole lot more. I have more motivation to keep providing videos for y'all like this. I feel a lot more energetic. I feel like I can accomplish a whole lot more because my body is lighter. And I'm a strong advocate of you are what you eat.
Okay, so getting to your dietary choices as far as eliminating some meats and introducing more vegetables and water, you're halfway there. I mean, you think that you feel better eliminating those meats, and I don't doubt for a second that you do. However, what happens if you eliminate something as detrimental as dairy? I would say if you were to remove anything, and I tell this to anybody that I talk about veganism with, if you're going to remove anything first, remove dairy. Remove milk, remove cheese and ice cream and stuff like that. Remove that stuff. Because I would say dairy is the thing that's going to make you feel the worst on a regular basis. I mean, the proportion of population that is lactose intolerant is surprisingly high. It's right around 70%. There's some controversy, I guess you can say, as far as the actual percentage of the population, because it differs so much based on your ethnicity and things like that. You want to not feel sluggish, you want to not feel tired, have clarity, remove dairy. Do it for 2 weeks and I bet you'll feel a difference. You probably won't go back. You feel better removing those meats. You'll feel even better removing dairy. And you might even feel that much better to replace the chicken, turkey, and fish with just more vegetables. I mean, in this video, you don't mention anything about trying the vegan diet. And I have to differentiate between the vegan diet and the vegan lifestyle. because the vegan diet is simply a diet without animal products. However, you can eat all the donuts and drink all the soda that you want being a vegan. When I refer to my vegan diet, I refer to a whole food vegan diet. I've eliminated processed food. I've eliminated any source of fast foods or things like that. I don't even remember last time I bought sugar. It's been well over 2 years since I bought any sugar. So I avoid sugar, refined sugars, because it's just unnecessary for your diet. It's mostly whole foods, fruits and vegetables.
But the whole purpose of eating your diet in general is so that you can get more energy into your body and so that you can accomplish the things that you want to do or the things that you have to do in life. That's the whole point of eating, is to gain energy.
Yes, I agree. Eating, the purely biological reason to eat is for energy survival. Yeah. However, I think you're ignoring a few other huge aspects as to what eating has evolved to in our culture. When we search for a mate, for instance, taking this all the way back to like Animal Kingdom baseline, we take them to food. That's what we do. We have holidays that revolve around foods, having large dinners and things like that. So eating has become a lot more than just getting energy. Because if that were the case, then well, there probably wouldn't be the kinds of foods that we have. I mean, we have a lot of novelty foods that are completely pointless to have, that are just filled with sugar. Look at candy and soda. Those are the two most worthless things ever created. Yet we mass produce them to the extreme, and they're extremely popular. And it has nothing to do with for the purpose of getting energy. I think you're ignoring a little bit of the aspect of food here in today's culture anyway. Maybe thousands of years ago, food was purely just for energy, but I think it probably evolved really quickly into something other than that.
But in conclusion, and this is just my perspective from the reality that I'm living, I feel as though unless somebody's eating another human being or another individual, then we really shouldn't judge them. We shouldn't judge them based on their diet. And that's just personally how I feel. There shouldn't be a war going on over whose diet is right and whose diet is wrong, because in all honesty, at the end of the day, does it really matter? And if it really does matter, and if it really does mean that much to you, please explain in the comment box below that somebody's diet should be a reason as to why you shouldn't talk to them as a person, or you shouldn't hang out with them as a person.
Okay, well, I think there's two parts to this. It's whether or not you should judge somebody based on their eating habits or their diet, and whether or not you should not talk to somebody because of what they eat. And like I mentioned before in the beginning, no, there shouldn't be a war. I think that you can have a rational conversation and lay facts out, and a reasonable person like yourself would probably take those ideas, research them, look into them, and determine for yourself whether or not you can improve your lifestyle. If you can improve your diet, you can improve your health, you can improve your livelihood. I mean, that's the core reason as to why I'm a vegan. There's a lot of people that turn to veganism because, you know, they cried when watching a documentary about like factory farming. It's kind of a good reason to be vegan, but unfortunately, the people that go into the vegan diet purely based on guilt for eating meat, those tend to be the absolute worst vegans, because they ignore the ginormous aspect of the health reasons to be vegan. And unfortunately, those are the vegans that will still drink soda, will still eat processed foods, and they end up destroying their health because they're not paying attention to what I think is the real reason to be vegan. And yeah, so again, there should be no war. It should be a rational conversation. But one other thing. So as far as like judging people on their diet, I think there is some cause to judge a person. I mean, if I go into McDonald's, which I never would, and I see a 600-pound person ordering 6 Big Macs and 4 large fries and a McFlurry with M&Ms, I'm going to judge them based on their diet because they're killing themselves. There is a point of no return when it comes to judging somebody based on their diet. So I think there is some room for judgment. However, again, there should be no war. It should be just a regular conversation. So, anyways, that's pretty much it for my response to your video. If you do watch this, hope you enjoyed it. Anyways, I will see you all next week. Take care. Peace.